In Rome, we grew up with this, not the Big Mac. Welcome to your guardian chef, your angel in the kitchen. Today we're making Porchetta Romana, the Roman version of the Big Mac. McDonald's only arrived in Rome in 1986, so for us teenagers in the 70s, our Vespa gatherings often centered around kiosks selling this delicious street food. Porchetta is a savory, boneless pork roast, seasoned with garlic, rosemary and fennel, then slow roasted for tender meat and incredibly crispy skin. We'd eat it sliced into a crusty panino, usually a Roman rosetta. Fortunately, you don't need a whole pig to enjoy it. I'll give you a simple recipe you can make at home. These are the ingredients you need. The measurements are in the description below. This recipe uses a clever combination of two specific pork cuts to achieve that classic porchetta contrast of succulent meat and crispy rendered skin. Pork belly and pork tenderloin. Pork belly is where bacon comes from, but while bacon is already cured, this recipe requires the fresh, uncured cut for authentic flavour and proper crisping. It's cut lengthwise through its meaty side and opened like a book, butterflied, to create a long, flat base for the tenderloin. The pork belly not only creates the crispy, crackling skin, but its rich fat, wrapped around the tenderloin, melts during roasting to keep the centre wonderfully moist and facilitate the absorption of all the aromatic flavours from the herb rub. Before we start, I wanted to show you some tools that will be very useful for any other type of roast. A herb mixer or blender for finely mixing the fresh herbs and spices together. Kitchen twine for securely tying the rolled porchetta. A meat thermometer to accurately check the internal temperature, ensuring the pork is perfectly cooked and safe. A baster to distribute the wine and pan juices over the porchetta during roasting, keeping it moist and flavorful. So let's start by making the herb rub. Remove the fresh rosemary leaves from their stems and peel the garlic cloves. I must confess, as I do not like fennel seeds, today I am using thyme. In a spice blender or small food processor, combine the rosemary leaves, garlic cloves and fennel seeds. Blend until all the ingredients are finely minced and well combined, forming a fragrant, slightly moist mixture. Transfer this blended herb and spice mixture to a bowl. Add your kosher salt to the bowl and mix thoroughly. This is your herb rub. Lay the pork belly skin side down on your work surface. With a sharp knife, carefully cut the pork belly lengthwise through the meat, stopping before you cut all the way through one of the long edges. Open it up like a book to create one long, flat base of meat. Spread the prepared herb rub evenly and generously over the entire meat side. Place the pork tenderloin along one of the longer edges of the herb rubbed pork belly. Carefully and tightly roll the pork belly around the tenderloin, encasing it completely to form a compact cylindrical log. The skin should be on the outside. Using kitchen twine, tie the rolled porchetta securely at 1 to 1.5 inch intervals along its length. Start from one end and work your way to the other, ensuring the roll is tight and will hold its shape during cooking. You can also run a piece of twine lengthwise and loop it under the crosswise ties for extra security. Ensuring the skin is very dry and well salted is key for crisping. Rub additional kosher salt onto the exterior skin and preheat your oven to a high temperature, 240 degrees Celsius, which is 465 degrees Fahrenheit. Lightly grease a roasting pan with a thin layer of olive oil. Place the tied porchetta into the prepared roasting pan. If you've refrigerated the tied porchetta after preparing it, let it sit at room temperature for about 30 to 60 minutes before cooking. Roast at a high temperature for 20 to 30 minutes. This initial blast of heat is crucial for starting the fat rendering process and helping the pork belly skin to begin crisping. Keep an eye on it to ensure it doesn't burn. After the initial high heat roast, carefully remove the roasting pan from the oven. Pour the white wine over the porchetta. Reduce the oven temperature to 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and return the porchetta to the oven. Continue to roast at the lower temperature, basting the white wine juices from the pan every 25 to 30 minutes. The total roasting time after reducing the heat will vary depending on the thickness of your porchetta, but anticipate approximately 1 hour to 1 hour and 30 minutes. Start checking the internal temperature after about 45 minutes at the lower heat. Insert an instant read meat thermometer into the very center of the pork tenderloin. You are aiming for an internal temperature of 65 degrees Celsius, which is 150 degrees Fahrenheit, for a juicy and safely cooked tenderloin. Cover it loosely with aluminum foil. Do not wrap it tightly, as this will steam the skin and make it lose its crispness. Let it rest for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Carefully remove and discard all the kitchen twine, and using your meat slicer is ideal for achieving the desired thinness. Set it to produce thin slices, similar to how you would slice cured ham, but perhaps just a fraction thicker, aiming for slices approximately 2 to 4 millimeters thick, roughly 1/16 to just over 1/8 of an inch. If you don't have a meat slicer, use a very sharp carving knife. Aim for the thinnest slices you can manage. They may naturally be a bit thicker, but with a slicer that's perfectly fine. Porchetta is versatile and delicious, served warm or at room temperature. Traditionally, as street food, it's piled into a crusty Italian bread roll, often a Roman rosetta. For extra flavor, skim the fat from the pan drippings and drizzle the remaining jus over the sliced meat, or serve it on the side for dipping. Beyond sandwiches, porchetta can be a roasted meat main course, with sides like roasted potatoes and stir-fried vegetables. As porchetta can be served at room temperature, it's an excellent choice for buffet parties, picnics, or any other gatherings where guests can help themselves. For more street food recipes, check out the playlist above. And don't forget to subscribe. And instead of milkshake, we had gratta checca. That was the bella vita.